History Tales, where the past comes alive.
The year is 1942. Hitler's armies are sweeping across Europe. From the boulevards of Paris to the vast plains of Ukraine, from the fjords of Norway to the deserts of North Africa, the Nazi war machine seems unstoppable. Its iron fist crushes everything in its path. But far to the east, on the banks of the mighty Volga River, lies a city, Stalingrad. What happens here, in this city of steel and fire, will not just decide a battle, it will decide the fate of the world. For Adolf Hitler, Stalingrad was far more than a strategic objective. It was a symbol, a prize that carried the name of his greatest adversary, Joseph Stalin. He believed that capturing the city would shatter Soviet morale, causing the entire nation to collapse. In the sweltering summer of 1942, he unleashed his most formidable force, the German Sixth Army, a veteran unit of over 250,000 men, led by General Friedrich Paulus. Their orders were simple and absolute. Take the city, at any cost. In a chilling broadcast, Hitler's voice thundered with conviction. Stalingrad will be ours. It will break the Soviet spirit once and for all. In late August, the German offensive began not with tanks, but from the air. The Luftwaffe descended upon Stalingrad, dropping thousands of tons of explosives. Within days, the city was a smoldering ruin, reduced to a skeletal landscape of rubble and twisted metal. But the Germans had made a catastrophic miscalculation. The destruction didn't break the city, it transformed it. The piles of debris, the gutted factories, and the labyrinth of shattered buildings became a defender's paradise. The Soviets, under the ruthless command of General Vasily Chukov, turned every street, every building, and every factory into a fortress. A quiet resolve settled over the defenders. A Soviet soldier, huddled in a cellar, might have whispered to his comrade, "We will fight for every brick, every floor. They will not pass." This city would not fall easily. The fighting that followed was unlike anything the world had ever seen. This wasn't a war of sweeping maneuvers. It was a brutal, intimate struggle fought room by room, floor by floor. The Germans called it Rattenkrieg, the Rat War. Soldiers hunted each other in the ruins, where a single sniper could hold up an entire platoon. The legendary Soviet sniper Vasily Zaitsev embodied this deadly new form of combat. His philosophy was grimly simple. For every German that steps forward, one will not return. Life was measured in meters, not miles. Meanwhile, under the constant threat of German artillery and air strikes, Soviet reinforcements were ferried across the Volga River each night. These men, many of them barely trained, were thrown directly into the meat grinder. The German advance, once a lightning blitzkrieg, slowed to a crawl, then ground to a halt in the blood-soaked rubble. While the German Sixth Army was bleeding itself white in the streets of Stalingrad, a grand, audacious plan was taking shape hundreds of miles away. The Soviet High Command, led by the brilliant General Georgy Zhukov, saw an opportunity not just to defend Stalingrad, but to turn the tables on the entire German southern front. They quietly amassed over 1,000,000 men, thousands of tanks, and artillery pieces on the flanks of the German army, which were thinly held by less reliable Romanian and Italian troops. On November 19, 1942, under the cover of a harsh Russian winter, the Red Army launched Operation Uranus. It was a classic pincer movement on a colossal scale, a double envelopment designed to encircle and trap the entire German Sixth Army. Zhukov's orders were clear and firm. "We will strike where they are weakest." Soon, Paulus will be trapped. The Soviet attack was swift and devastating. The Romanian armies on the flanks collapsed within hours, their lines shattered by the sheer force of the Soviet tank corps rolling through the snow-covered steppe. Soldiers charged forward, their bayonets fixed, their war cries echoing across the frozen plains. Within just 4 days, the jaws of the Soviet trap slammed shut. Nearly 300,000 German and Allied soldiers found themselves completely surrounded, caught in a vast pocket known as the Kessel, or cauldron. They were cut off from all supplies, facing the merciless Russian winter with no hope of reinforcement. The hunter had become the hunted. An entry from a German soldier's diary captures the despair. No food, no ammunition, only snow and death. Trapped and freezing, General Paulus desperately radioed Hitler, begging for permission to break out of the encirclement while his army still had the strength. A breakout to the west was still possible, but Hitler, obsessed and delusional, refused to countenance any retreat. From his distant headquarters, he bellowed back his infamous order: "Not one step back. Stalingrad must be held." He promised that the Luftwaffe would supply the Sixth Army from the air, a promise that was impossible to keep. With that single, fanatical decision, the fate of the Sixth Army was sealed. They were condemned to a slow, agonizing death. As 1942 turned into 1943, the situation inside the Stalingrad pocket descended into a frozen hell. Temperatures plummeted to 40 degrees below zero. Starvation, disease, and frostbite ran rampant. German soldiers, once the proud conquerors of Europe, were reduced to skeletal figures, huddled in icy trenches, gnawing on frozen horses. Entire divisions simply ceased to exist. In a final, cynical gesture, Hitler promoted Paulus to the rank of field marshal. No German field marshal had ever surrendered, and Hitler expected his new commander to take his own life. But Paulus chose his men over his leader's twisted sense of honor. His voice, broken and defeated, conveyed the finality of his decision: "I can no longer sacrifice my men for a lost cause. We surrender." On February 2nd, 1943, the last remnants of the Sixth Army capitulated. What was once the pride of the Wehrmacht was now its greatest humiliation. The aftermath was staggering. The Battle of Stalingrad resulted in over 2 million casualties, making it one of the deadliest battles in human history. Of the 91,000 German soldiers who surrendered, only 5,000 would ever see their homeland again. But beyond the horrific cost, the world had witnessed the impossible. The myth of Nazi invincibility was shattered forever. From the smoking ruins of Stalingrad, the Red Army began its relentless surge westward, a tide of steel, and vengeance that would not stop until it reached the heart of the Third Reich itself, the city of Berlin. Stalingrad was more than a battle. It was the definitive turning point of the Second World War. It was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a brutal story of unimaginable suffering, courage, and sacrifice. It was the story of a city that was destroyed but never defeated, a city that refused to fall. In the ashes of Stalingrad, the momentum of the war shifted irrevocably, and the path to Allied victory, though long and bloody, was finally laid bare. Thank you so much for watching this deep dive into one of history's most pivotal moments. If you found this story as compelling as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more content that brings history to life. We'll see you in the next video.